Morning Show with EVH. I'm Eric Von Hessler. Normally I would turn and let you know that Autumn Fisher is here with me, but she is not here with me. She is on jury duty. I don't know that I want a pregnant woman. Maybe it's a good thing to have a pregnant woman on a jury. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But she's gone. Hopefully that's just a one-day deal and not the next OJ case or something. But we are.
It would be great if it was, though.
Well, in a way,
make for some great stories.
It would make for some great stories a year from now when she got out of sequester, but really wouldn't help us at this point. That voice you just heard, that beard you just saw, who's that? That's Michael Albanese.
Hey.
He's in show business.
I'd like it if Autumn did. You know what? Let's get her out of here so that we can get a chick in here that I stand a chance with.
Oh, exactly. This one's already taken, which is quite obvious by her belly.
Well, if she wasn't, still she's fat though. So
that's true, and you're not into that, huh? Michael Albanese is right there, and Greg Russ is again joining us from his cubicle in New York City, his cubby hole that he calls an apartment. Greg, you there?
I am here. I was going to say to Michael, hey, why can't I hear myself?
Can you hear yourself? Is there a problem? We were just talking. Is everything good?
I can't speak if there's...
He's hearing feedback, I guess?
Yeah, I heard my voice and it made me want to vomit.
Wow.
Well, it makes us want to vomit,
It's
too,
gone.
so welcome
yeah, I
to
know.
the party.
I set you up for that one good.
What were you going to say to
quick.
Mike?
You're quick-witted.
Well, that's how you... Hey, look, every night
What, are you
on
hunting
stage.
today? Are you going hunting, Michael?
Oh, you can see me? Is that the
Yeah,
idea?
I see you. I
No.
see you sitting there looking miserable.
This is an
That you have to interact with me.
This is an Under Armour hoodie that I got for Christmas a few years ago, so you're insulting my mother. This is going to go down. We're going to fight.
Well, he told
We're
me
gonna fist fight.
that he was out to insult your mother. It is a rather sort of. It looks like you're going to hit the woods and maybe
I
take
can
down.
take it off.
No. That's okay.
However,
Oh, it's orange underneath.
I have an orange shirt on underneath.
You're very loud today. Your
But my
clothing.
car is orange as well. So
Yeah, you like this. So this is your favorite color?
I don't know, man. I just
And they're
I go in on things, and that's I don't know.
You're
man.
all in.
I
so
got-
you're the orange guy.
I got the orange hoodie, and I got a bunch of different color shirts. So.
What kind of orange is that? That's different than the orange that's underneath. That's
This is like
kinda...
tangerine, maybe.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe tangerine.
a nice tangerine.
Something sweet.
Before we go any further, I'd like to say hello to Dr. X over there, who is manning everything.
Cheers.
It looks like an Occupy Wall Street refugee, and he may be, for all I know.
It looks like he's about to lose $500,000 on a blind.
Yeah, he looks like he's either with Occupy, he's Dr. X, or he's a famous poker player. You will have to
the
decide.
World Series of poker.
Support Ukraine.
Yeah, he sees himself as supporting Ukraine. I see him as nothing
Nobody
more than
else does.
an Occupy guy and a poker player, perhaps. I don't follow that kind of poker where you have these kind of stars and everything, and they have these
Do you
weird
follow
looks.
any poker?
No, I don't.
So,
I don't. You're
Use
right.
That kind of poker, you said. That's what I was
You're
curious.
right. Yeah, I love to watch like normal people who aren't famous and have absolutely no redeeming qualities. I like to watch them sit around and play poker.
Yeah,
Playing for
celebrity
pennies.
poker.
So
That's
that's
what
big,
I like.
big bets.
Yeah, penny bets, that whole thing. Maybe a nickel later in the evening. I've
The
never
high roller
been.
comes out with the quarter.
This is where I part ways with the rest of manhood. You know, I don't like poker. I don't like playing poker. I don't find anything interesting about poker. I recognize that it's me and it's not them, right? Because everyone else loves it, and so I don't condemn it. But quite often, while my friends are playing poker, I'm just there drinking and having a good time in the conversation, but not playing because I don't know. It seems dreadfully boring to me.
I can't play poker. I mean, I know how to play, but I just start putting my money in. Like, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do something productive.
And you get the guys who look like Dr. X over there who are, they're just so into it and they're so intense.
What's worse is when you go to like just games that you're just playing with buddies.
Yeah, and
somebody dresses like that. Get
Sunglasses
out
on
of
the
here.
whole time. I
Go
enjoy
get us some beer, lady.
I enjoy
Nobody
the
wants to
game,
see your
but it's
stupid
definitely
face
not
anyway.
a sport. It's not a sport. It shouldn't be on ESPN.
You're losing your
I'm off camera.
as you speak. Oh, okay.
He's got control of the cameras. Why doesn't he just not put the cameras on?
Well, we
himself?
like-
Probably a good move.
Because every once in a while it's going to happen that you see him and
Not everyone can be as humble as me. I don't put the camera on myself, but most people like to.
Liar.
themselves
oh,
on
you
screen.
had plenty of
I've seen-
FaceTime.
I
Plenty
don't
of
want
FaceTime.
FaceTime.
You were
It's
showing
like-
off to your new loved one here in town. I know that. You were like
Oh,
peacocking.
you do know that.
That's what
Wait,
you would
you,
do.
you go back and watch these videos.
Yeah, I do.
take notes.
I actually have to watch and listen to my show now because I'm the CEO of everything.
By the way,
just-
dominoes. I just want to get back to that. I took to dominoes instead of poker, and I've become pretty good at it.
Are you a Cuban national? What are you doing playing dominoes?
So I'm great. I've
playing
played
the
over
train game?
17,000 games on Pogo.com, and I have a 57% winning
Really?
percentage. And I took it out one day to
And
play on the
zero
streets because it's different.
friends.
And you go play with people. And I was in a neighborhood in Brooklyn where they're playing dominoes outside the bodega, and I started playing with these guys, and they were impressed somewhat with my skills, but I had no trash talking ability, so they tried to introduce me to that.
They do a
And I-
lot of trash talking
Oh,
in
there's
the
plenty, and I
dominoes?
can't do it. I cannot trash talk. So they laughed because I said, yeah, even if I did trash talk, I'm the only white guy here with curly hair who's half the size of all of you. You would not take to it at all. And then they cracked up as if that was the funniest thing and said, yeah, you're right, white boy. This is what they said.
Were they
But
throwing dominoes at you as you left?
No, they weren't mean. They enjoyed my skill. They were very impressed by it.
They were just
I
chewing.
still lost
They were just
because I got
chewing on
intimidated.
espresso beans, spitting them in your face. Go and get out of here, cracker.
I
No,
don't.
but this is a
hold on.
caring community, Michael. They don't. We support one another.
I was
Yeah.
trying to. I was
Domino world.
shit talking. I'm sorry. I was trying to toughen you up for your next game.
Well, I
of-
wanna
But you're,
know-
so you're not included yet. You're not allowed to do that.
I would dominate.
understand
I would
where you're coming
dominate
from.
domino shit talking.
Can we call it smack talk, maybe, Mr.
Yeah, we can smack
Foul
talk.
Mouth? Give me an example, Greg, of some Domino's smack talk.
No, I can't. Because it just
No,
comes
I mean
naturally.
from what you're hearing from them, not you, but like what do they say to each other? That's
One of the things they do, and if you're good at dominoes, you can kind of know what's left in the bone pile, as they call it, and they'll start calling out what dominoes they think the other people have around the table. But it's not just like, hey, you got the 6-2. It's like, hey there, shit-faced motherfucker, you got the 6-2. I know it. Just put it on the table so I can put down my 2-3.
Can I tell you something? When I was a kid, I loved dominoes because I loved setting them up in little things and knocking them down. I got so thrilled by that. Loved them. Had really nice dominoes, like some that, to me as a kid, I thought they were made of marble or something, but they were better than your average plastic domino. They were really, really nice. Never, one time, opened the box. Well, how's this game played? That seems hard, different. No. I'll just set them up and knock them down. So consequently, I have no idea how dominoes is played. What is the point of dominoes?
What's the point of any game is to,
To
finish
win.
and win.
I
Like,
know,
that's-
but I mean, how do you win?
You
What do you-
lose, I think you should get rid of all your dominoes first. If the first
Well, there are
person to
different
have
ways.
out,
There are different
you gotta,
games you can
clack
play.
Your dominoes or something like
Well, we
that.
have a pro on the line.
You can play
Greg Russ,
fives
professional
or no
domino
fives.
player. What?
You can play fives or no fives. So the point of fives is to get to multiples of 5 at the end of each domino line. So for example, the first hand starts out with a double. Whoever has the highest double has to put it down. So double 6 is usually the highest, depending on what set you're playing with, but that's the standard. So you put down the double 6, and that starts the game. And then if, let's say, you have a 6-3, you have to match. So there's a 6. If you
Right.
have the 6-3, then you have double 6 on one side, which is 12. 3 on the other side, that's 15. You get 15 points. And you just keep playing to usually 100 or 250.
It
That's
still doesn't make a lot, but it's like cards. Then you're putting these things down like cards.
Well, you have to match. So then at that point, the double 6 and 6-3s down, and then you have to play something with a 3 on one side or a 6 on the other side, and you continue just kind of going around until you're done with your hand, and then you redivvy the dominoes. But
Yeah, still don't understand.
okay.
I'm
We'll
a
play
big,
one day.
I'm a big Parcheesi man.
Let's
You're not gonna
have,
get me off that.
You can
all
set
all
one of
that
these things up with
Parcheesi's
the
the one you
patron
went with.
donors. If you're
like
a top
the name.
donor on Patreon, you can play dominoes with me. I'll throw that
Oh,
in there
hey,
to
look at
sweeten the
that. So
pot.
you're saying the top donor,
Well, no, if the $100 level, we'll get together on
And
your meeting.
right? And you'll
And we'll
pull
play
out the
some
dominoes.
dominoes.
And there's another incentive for people to go to Patreon.com and become a member of this team, because if you're at the $100 level, you're going to get your own game of dominoes with Greg Russ. That's quite
We
tempting.
get dominoes, and Eric gets his hair implants. I think that's where we're at.
We're gonna do I will do the hair implants right there in front of you. How is that going to be done?
The donor should get to put the implants in for you.
All right, yeah. We need the money. Okay, sure, anything, whatever. I'll let if somebody gives $1,000, they can do the hair transplant for me, and whether they've ever done it before or not, I don't care. I'll just give you a scalpel, make sure it's clean, and if you're giving us money, you can just go ahead and tear my head to pieces.
Slice and dice.
You'll put it over the stove yourself, the scalpel, just to make sure it's disinfected.
Yeah, I want a good clean scalpel, but after that, I'll give it to a person of questionable skills.
Yeah.
I can always wear a hat. You can't do too much damage up there. So I wanted to, you guys, I was going to bring this up yesterday, but both Dr. X and Michael Albanese Went to some Korean barbecue festival over the weekend or something. I don't.
You might as well have been, considering the. I mean, I didn't understand what was going on, and apparently nobody was speaking to me, so it felt like it was a Korean barbecue restaurant.
Oh, there you go. So no, it was Bourbon and Barbecue Festival
Yes,
or something like
at
that.
Atlantic Station here in Atlanta.
Now, when they do something like that, are you allowed to just get trashed on bourbon?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
yes.
that's the idea.
I did.
Oh yeah, Dr. X told me that he started drinking bourbon at noon.
Yeah, and turns out if you start drinking at noon, you will black out by midnight if you don't slow down.
If I start drinking
you
by
that
noon,
long?
I'm on my couch by 4. I mean, if I drink a beer at noon, something about the afternoon drinking just wipes
Yeah,
me
I'm
out.
not, I'm not good at day drinking beer. You
Yeah.
put booze in my mouth, I can go all day. But
Really?
I have 2 beers at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm done for the day.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. You go to lunch, have a couple of beers, and you realize I'm not getting anything. No more work is going. No more
absolutely not.
productivity is going to happen for the rest
Everything
of
you think smoking pot in the morning when you wake up is bad for productivity?
Mm-hmm.
Get out of here. Give me one Miller Lite,
and you're
and
done.
I am toast, son.
Well, that event sort of policed itself because in the I had VIP access, and you go into the VIP tent, and it's slammed wall to wall with people, and you just go stand in line, and they give you a tiny little shot.
Yeah.
And you have to basically go immediately stand in the next line.
To get a tiny little shot.
And
Look at all these important people.
Yeah.
There's thousands of them.
You guys have hit on something
Just a
that
bunch of
really
idiots.
annoys me lately, which is the VIP concept has just been completely ruined. It's
Absolutely.
very important people, very important persons. That's the VIP. The
Because
VIP
now it's an experience and a feeling rather than
it's
a
something
commodity.
you can buy, right? Something that you can buy relatively cheaply. You know, most people can afford $100 or something like that to be in the
I don't know any of those people.
to be in the VIP. A lot more people. VIP used to be, well, you were doing a show. Hey, Johnny Carson's in town. That's a VIP. Let's make
Absolutely.
sure that Johnny Carson is in the, hey, Bob Hope says he's stopping by. Well, let's make special provisions. He's a
Right,
very
absolutely,
important
yeah.
person. The VIP, until very recently, was not a category of ticket. Like now it's just like, well, you can have the back row, you can get the middle, you can have the front row, or you can buy the VIP.
Right.
Which means there is effectively no longer any such thing as VIP. Because the real VIPs are in a different room, and I don't know what they call it, but they're not in there standing in line waiting for a tumbler of bourbon.
Well,
You're a
imagine-
classist. You're a typical
Well,
classist.
the last time, well, you can say what you want, but the last time I was in a VIP, I looked around and I thought, my goodness, that guy runs the local grocery store. He
We're
doesn't belong here. He
presenting
doesn't belong
VIP
here with
to
me.
the common folk now. What's wrong with that? Let's spread the wealth of VIP.
Then
Let
let's
everyone
call it-
be on the same level.
Let's call it the
Then limit it to make those people
CFR.
actually feel important. Feel important? Feel important.
both.
Phil.
Yeah, I think they should fill important space.
I worked with Phil Important.
He was a
and-
pretty good guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He did news very well. CFR, I
know what that
think.
means.
Common Folk Room. Call it what it
Folk
is.
Room.
How about
Well,
our...
that's got to be your entry level, and then you have to have some kind of premium in between, because there was still a whole other tent that, I mean, you couldn't even walk inside the place.
A
Okay,
barbecue tent?
Is that what it was? I never made it in.
Yeah, it was. That was where the
Oh.
barbecue was.
He never got out of the bourbon tent.
And we had Robert Kelly in studio Friday.
Yes,
last
he was
Friday, and so me and him. And I got those tickets. I got my tickets for complimentary. I have a friend, a good
'Cause you're
buddy, and it was
VIP.
it was awesome. That he hooked me up with these tickets, and we were really excited. Because Bobby's from New York, and so
Right.
barbecue. He really wanted to try some good barbecue. And it was like we waited in line for 20 minutes for
Yeah.
like a spoonful of like cool soup. And then like we stood in line for another 20 minutes for a piece of bacon that they ran out of. And it was like 30 minutes into the
you
festival.
would have been better off just to go to a barbecue place.
We
and have
did. We left that place and went to this place called DBA in
Right.
town and had the best barbecue ever. And the owner was there that day, and we had our wristbands on. He's like, "Oh, where'd you come from?" I was like, "Oh, we went to the barbecue festival." He goes, "Oh, that was today." And we're like, "Don't even worry about it. We're here, aren't we?"
Yeah, the smell made us hungry for barbecue, so we came here and actually had
And
some.
when I tell you the best part, like the pastrami, they have this like pastrami, like roasted pastrami, like thick cut.
I can't even imagine that.
Ugh. I just came a little bit in my brain.
Brain cum
Come.
happens all the time.
It was phenomenal.
That's my preferred method.
Oh, really?
Funny, yeah.
I like to make her just think about me. That's so stupid.
I think about being very nice to her.
Yeah, really.
And it makes
Yep.
me, it's all I need. I don't actually
That
have
is
to be
all I need.
Don't actually have to be nice to the person just to make me think of it.
But it was just the worst. We were looking at each other like because Bob Kelly's in town for just a couple of days, and he's looking at me like,
Right.
"This is what you did.
This
This
is
is where
right.
you take me."
Yeah. Thanks a
Welcome
lot.
to Atlanta, where we stand in
Yeah,
lines
really.
First, you take me to a media appearance in a guy's basement in
You
the
couldn't
suburbs.
walk in.
Then we're at this crazy barbecue. That's the problem with these festivals. Is there's just too many people, and you can't really do anything.
Yeah, it was oversold.
Beer
were
festivals, all of these things. You know?
We were circling around the front of the tent, like the entrance area, just pacing back and forth like dogs in like a junkyard
Right.
that saw something on the street. Like we were just back and forth, like where do we go? How do we get into this place? And we finally just like turned sideways and started scooting
Yeah.
in. It was horrifying.
Yeah, I ended up just going over to the food trucks and paying for food
Yeah.
rather than taking the food
Right.
samples because it was
Yeah,
just
complete
too many,
waste.
Too many folk.
Yeah, they oversell those
It
things.
can be good. They could do it well, but the problem is they want to sell so many tickets so they can. Obviously it's a for profit, which is good for them.
Right.
But make the tent bigger.
Make
you
the
know?
tent bigger, make the experience better for each individual,
Make-
so they'll
yeah.
come back next year.
Make the tables twice as big. You know,
Right.
just you don't have to have more vendors. Just double up on the size, so that way people can have more options. And then the same number of people that cost you what, another $200 in table rentals.
Mm-hmm.
You can fix the whole thing.
You should go into business. You should do this, man. Do it
I've
right.
done
Let's do some
festivals.
festivals. I want to do some festivals.
I'm in.
I've got
Let's do it.
festival ideas coming
He
out of
hasn't
my
given up
ears.
yet.
What?
As soon as Michael gives up the comedy dream, that's what he'll get into. Because
Don't
at some
worry,
point,
the
all these
comedy
people have
dream's
to
already
give
dead
in.
in my brain. Don't worry, it's been dead since I started.
Are you
Well,
saying,
then you're
Greg?
an event planner. Just jump into it and embrace
I've
it.
done events. I've made money doing events before. I put on a bunch of different.
I
Fun
think Greg's
festivals.
right. You find with events people, they quite often either are comedians or have been comedians in
Really?
the past. Yeah, or some sort of showbiz. You know, a lot of people who put on
Well,
rock,
yeah, I
rock
guess-
and roll festivals had a band at one
Sure,
point
sure.
or whatever.
Well, just like every sound guy has a band. or
yeah,
something
yeah.
like
You
that.
stay in the industry, right?
He also
You
hasn't
get-
given up his long hair. Come on, you have children. You
It's
work.
all right.
You're like that weird guy in the office. It's like roaming around with a ponytail.
Yeah.
It's like, relax, dude.
Oh, I've been that guy before.
Yeah, I know you have.
Yeah, but you're young.
Look, I'm 30 with a giant beard. I'm seriously clinging on to something
That's right.
for sure.
That's right.
One
That's
day,
right.
one day.
You gonna keep this forever?
Who knows?
You gonna be like Autumn's dad and be
I have
a
look,
Santa Claus when
I
you
have
grow up?
no reason. No, absolutely not. I will not be a Santa Claus.
Why not?
Well, because
He loves it.
Because you'd have to dye. I'd have to dye my beard because I don't think I'll naturally go white.
Well, eventually you will.
I don't know, man. None of my like the older people in my family
60s?
have gone
They
white.
still
Yeah,
got dark
nothing.
hair?
My dad's got like wings, like he's on The Sopranos. He's got temple wings.
I hate your family.
But I don't know. I dyed my
not
beard
fair.
one time. I shaved it and I bleached the mustache down to the Fu Manchu because I was going as Hollywood Hulk Hogan for Halloween, and
Oh.
it was miserable. I look like I went to the Claremont and picked the fattest hooker and ate her box. And was suffering with the red, like the welts.
Yes.
Looked like I got beat up by a fistful of bee stings.
That's the worst when you shave and you forget how fat your
horrifying.
face really is.
No, I never forget. That's why the beard's here.
Is that
first
what you
of all,
Because it does thin. It sort of streamlines things because it all comes down to a point.
come on, look, I'll pull up right now. We can link
got
it
a
up
big
on
head?
the
You
Facebook.
got a
I'll show
bowling
you.
ball
I'll
head?
show you some old pics. You'll go. That's not you.
The beard gives the illusion of a strong chin.
Yeah. Well, no, that's the same thing. I have a fat face, and that's why I do the little goatee thing because it sort of leans it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Greg has a fat face. He doesn't care.
What are you talking about, fat face? No, you're trying to lure me back in because you know I'm sensitive about that. Because my friend Paul, last time I saw him, he's like, "Yeah, it looks like you're putting on a little weight, drinking a lot."
You know, hold on. One thing at a time here. First of all, hold that story, Greg, because he did just show me a picture, and it looks nothing like him.
Hold
What are
on,
you,
hold on.
20?
I mean, this was in my mid-20s, maybe.
Wow, that does not. You did not become a man until later.
Here, we'll put it up. Can the camera see that, big guy?
Oh, maybe.
Does the camera check that out? See if the camera.
You didn't grow up. You have an adult face now, but that's
No,
still
man.
like a baby.
That's what I look like without a beard. 2 years ago, I got cast in a movie and played a 16-year-old high school football player because I look like a child without a beard. I showed up on set and they wouldn't let me on.
Looking
They're
for
like,
your
"Who are
papers?"
you?" Yeah, they're like, and I had to pull out all my info. The
Right.
director goes, "What a," and I was like, "It's Mike," and they go, "Oh my God, you do look young." Are we good?
Yeah,
Do
no.
we see it, everybody? Make fun of me immediately?
Absolutely.
I think you can tweet it out as well. Wow, look at that little baby face.
Yeah, that's. I'm in my
That guy-
20s there. Like
That guy
maybe,
looks like
you
he
know,
might bomb a building for some weird
probably has
reason.
bombed the building.
Some strange
That guy.
reason.
I might have some more fun ones we can show. I used to have really long hair,
Yeah.
like long curly ass hair.
Greg's sensitive about this because he went back to New York or something like that. Somebody hadn't seen in a few months. What did the guy say to you?
My face looked a little bloated. I mentioned, I was like, yeah, I've been drinking a little more than normal. He's like, yeah, I can see it in your face. It's looking a little fat.
Are your friends usually this blunt? I guess it's a good thing.
No, it's not, because it sticks with me, and I'm still thinking about it weeks later. It doesn't change anything.
Well, you could maybe lose weight. Stop eating so much. Stop,
I don't eat. Yeah,
stop
yeah,
feeding
stop
that
eating
fat
so much.
face.
I eat once a day.
Really?
I forget to eat, and then I just have a sandwich at night, and that's about it. That's my life. I eat sandwiches and tacos.
This is Short Beard. This is Short Beard.
And your child,
This
apparently,
is,
who
this
you
is
have
me and my
abandoned.
beautiful niece.
Is this really turned into like a
I don't know.
Shut
It's
up,
like,
Greg.
I know. It's like he's,
photo viewing party?
it's like he's going
Great
through
radio.
his
Some of
phone.
the best
and-
radio I've ever heard.
Go play- go-
boring me, and I'm part of the show. I'm gonna tune out.
Go play
I'm gonna go
dominoes.
listen to the ear biscuits. I'm gonna go listen to the ear biscuits. What I'm gonna do?
I know. It's like he's going through his phone. And here's my niece. And this child was just born.
I went to the
I'm sorry
Grand
for
Canyon
trying to
in
bring something
92.
interesting. The fact that I look like a child. Oh wait, okay.
No, I gave you that on
So
the
this
first
is
one. Now
me,
you're going
this
through
is,
your whole.
This is right after I shaved for that movie.
Yeah, I know. That's weird.
Baby
How many
face,
years ago
man.
was that?
This is maybe 2 years ago.
Because it just doesn't look like you at all.
2 years ago.
All right, keep the beard. You're doing the right
I'm,
thing.
obviously, I'm
I
trying
thought you were
I'm
just-
creating a career with beard bars, beardbars.com, and comedy,
Yeah.
so that nobody can tell me what to look like unless they. I just lost a commercial, a SAG union commercial that paid really well because they wanted me to shave.
And you said, no, I
would-
can't
well,
do it. I got
look,
too much
here's the
invested.
thing.
This is my
Here's
brand.
the thing. I auditioned 2 or 3 times for it. They wanted me for the role, but then they said we want you to shave. I was like, you auditioned me 2 or 3 times with the beard.
You yelled at him, huh?
No, I didn't yell at them. That's their prerogative.
Right.
That's their thing. But if they didn't want a guy with a beard, then they should.
Why
not
keep
have
calling you back?
Exactly. Yeah. And my agent was smart, and they said, "Look, we don't think you should do it because that's your look." And I get a lot of reads and I get a lot of auditions
Right.
because of it. And they said, "Look, we'll ask him for more money because that's what it would take." But if they don't want to pay up, they suggested not to do it. And
Right.
I good for them. It would have been a
Just
lot of money,
explain to
but
them
not enough. Who knows?
you should just explain to them that you're currently appearing in the musical version of Grizzly Adams.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm actually
At
writing
the
that
Fox
currently.
Theater. I'm leaving society now.
Is that really a thing?
I hate the people of the city and how. No, it's not as Grizzly
Should
Adams
be.
is. Grizzly Adams was a thing. You familiar with Grizzly
I know
Adams?
Grizzly
TV
Adams.
show.
I
yes.
thought I was like, is there a musical? Because
Well,
I need
let's
to
do it.
own that.
I think we should do it, right? He leaves. I think he was. I don't remember the premise completely, but I think that he was accused of a crime that he didn't commit or something, and he just goes out into the mountains and lives the old way, away from society. That's good musical stuff, right?
I like it. It sounds like Castaway on a Mountain. I'm
Let's
into
do
it. Let's
it.
do this.
We throw in like an age angle or something like that. You know? I'm just saying, as far as plays go, it seems to be, So I wanted to ask you about. You keep coming in here and saying, like, you'll alternately say, "Man, I drank like crazy last night," or you'll come in and you'll say to me, "I haven't been drinking for weeks." I think you're lying to yourself or
it's
me
been
or something.
It's been at least two weeks.
Okay, so you're not doing anything. You're completely
No
straight.
smoking, no alcohol. Nothing fried. I'm trying. I gotta figure something out. Because
Seems
you're
like
right. Every time I'm always trying something new. But
that's
the
the
idea
thing,
is
though.
that I'm doing it to myself
Why don't
by
you just
consuming the wrong shit.
I think you're overdoing it with that kind of stuff. Everything
By
is
not drinking.
no, not at all. No, what I'm saying is,
I wake up every morning
I think
wanting
it should
to
be-
vomit and I can't see straight. Maybe I should stop doing that.
Some people don't have to take it to that extreme. to
I
have
do that. I do that. and
Well,
it's
maybe
not-
you're an alcoholic then,
No,
which is a different issue.
because I don't get angry. I don't mess
Yeah.
stuff up. I don't drink and drive.
We're
Like
happy
I just
alcoholics.
enjoy drinking. Yeah, absolutely.
I enjoy the drinking.
It doesn't
too.
affect my career.
No.
Like I've never gotten fired from being drunk, and I've never missed
Right.
a-
Well, that's
an
what I'm
event
saying.
because I'm
What
drunk.
I'm saying is, you seem like one of these people who always is in the midst of some sort of life plan, and I find that I think there should
Well,
be.
we've been
there
on the
should be-
show for 4 weeks. And in
I've known
4
you
weeks,
for longer than that. I think that there should be many years in a person's life where they have no plan of attack. Where they're just like, "Oh, I'm just going to do my thing."
I've been doing that for the last 15 years.
Oh,
Thank you.
Let you-
I'm trying to turn my shit around.
See,
But
you
if
have
you're-
the same thing that I have, where if I do drink, I mean, it's like Saturday was. And
Right.
It's, I'm hungover for 2 days.
You're also a mean drunk, as I recall.
I'm not.
You are a mean
No.
drunk. You're a mean
How
drunk.
dare you?
I'm not going to get into the stories, Dr. X. I wouldn't do. I'd embarrass you even though people don't know your name. I will not get into the stories, but you have been known to be a bit of a mean, like Greg Russ here. He's a mean drunk. You don't want to be around him when he's drunk. He's nasty and
fat face.
He's got a big fat face and he lashes out at everybody around him. It's not pleasant. So if you're a happy drunk, then I think you're fine. But also if you're trying not to drink and you're trying to lose weight, I would suggest that a bourbon and barbecue festival maybe isn't the place to be on a weekend.
Well, you know what? It's a great test to see if I can handle it.
Well, there you go.
And I did.
Well,
I didn't drink anything.
I wonder how that would have gone if the lines had been short and the barbecue had been plentiful. And the bourbon was flowing.
Wrong with barbecue. You know?
No. I'm saying is, I think if
lines when I got there, the alcohol. We walked into the alcohol tent and we were walking by tables and they were like holding bottles of booze out for us. It wasn't like look. I can make a conscious decision to do the right thing. You know, I'm not a child.
Well, thank you, Spike Lee. It's nice to have you here with us today.
Is that a thing he said?
It's a movie.
Called I made a conscious decision to do the right thing. That's the name of the movie.
Do the right thing.
Oh, okay. Thanks for quoting me at the end of a sentence. I'm gonna do the right thing.
He's very defensive. Do you dislike Spike Lee? Are you a racist? Or are you like, hey, I'm not like Spike Lee?
Hey, we're going to talk to Jay Billis in a minute, so you want to talk about Patreon?
Jay Busby, yes,
Jay
is
Busby.
coming up. Yes. Who'd you say?
Hold on, before
Bills?
Patreon, I wanted to jump in and defend myself because I'm going back to this as a delayed reaction.
Somebody
drunk.
mute him.
All right, go ahead.
No, there are people who like me.
Fat
and
face.
They need to know that I'm not. I can still be fat faced, but I'm not a mean drunk. I'm not angry anymore. There's no anger in here.
You sound
There's
angry
none.
right now.
He's getting laid right now. So he's not angry.
He was getting laid then, but I'm telling you, he did a smart thing. I think he doesn't do the brown liquor so much anymore. I'm
fine with it. I was 20 years old and I was just angry at the world. I hated everyone. Now I just pretend.
You pretend.
I really like Michael. I do. We had a nice talk on the porch.
This is all a radio shtick.
Highland Inn.
Me and Greg actually hold hands walking down the street typically.
I saw that.
We
and
did
I was
once until people threatened to kick our asses.
Well, we were in the wrong part of that.
Yeah.
We left the perimeter.
do that in Midtown. You're fine.
You're talking about the brown liquor, like giving up the brown liquor. That's the I've tried in the past. You say it's just now. Like in the past, I've been like, well, no beer, just clear liquor, and then I would drink 12 double vodkas and soda, and I'm like, well, I'm drinking soda, not Diet Coke, so it's good for you. Except for the fact that I just drank a half pint of vodka in an hour and a half, you know. And then I ended up drawing dicks on cars in the snow and writing an amazing article about it that got a lot of hits on Reddit. Anyway,
well, that's fantastic.
Maybe I should be doing that.
Maybe it's time to move beyond that, though. That was a few weeks ago. You're still trumpeting your snowpocalypse
I haven't
fame.
spoken. This is the first time I've said it forever on the air.
You know, the thing about clear liquor, though, is not always too. If you want to see a room get mean, start handing out the gin and tonics. Gin and tonics will turn a room mean, especially
I love a
women.
solid G&T though.
I love it. I love it.
I just started getting into what's really embarrassing.
If you want to see women go after each other, fill them full of gin and tonics. Sisters, get them going.
What's really upsetting about because look, I'm not quitting drinking for good. I'm just trying to clear it out a little bit and take a break. You know, you always take.
This
you
is
gotta
your
take a
latest
break
plan. I know. I get it. I appreciate it, and I support you.
You know what? When I live to be 100,
yeah, that's going to happen.
I'm gonna laugh at you over your grave.
When you live to be 100, you'll shave your beard, and you'll still look 16.
Yeah, really.
It's all
I know. I just started liking Bloody Marys.
I can't stand tomato juice.
Solid Bloody Mary.
My mom used to drink Bloody Marys, and it just kind of grossed me out. She would drink them in a plastic cup. This is in the 70s in our little apartment complex, big plastic cup. It had ice rattling in it and
stalk of celery hanging out.
Stalk of celery and just the pepper on top. And then I would hear it go into her mouth and like her false teeth would rattle around. To me, I find the whole thing uncomfortable. And I don't like tomato juice at all.
I see. I don't like tomatoes by itself, but you put a little spicy vodka, some salt, some pepper. Fucking put it in my veins. I'm cursing for no reason. I'm thinking about booze. See, even when I think about booze, I just start getting foul.
See, one time I told somebody I don't like tomato juice, and she's like, "It's okay. It's clamato juice."
Ugh.
Oh, add clams. Is that what it is? Is that what clamato juice is?
What a horrible idea!
It's clams on top of what is it?
I think it is.
Is that what it is, Greg? You know these things. What is clamato juice?
I'm looking it up now.
I think
I don't know. I'm gonna clams. You can't put clams in the drink and then bottle it, can you?
No, but I
you
think
sure can.
I think they
And
squeeze.
it is. It's clam broth.
Concentrated clam
broth.
broth.
I was thinking of pulp, clam pulp in it, which I thought was this. Man, clam broth is pretty. disgusting in its own right. But
Yeah.
yep, there you
Who
go.
said-
Mott's.
who was drinking
Apparently
tomato juice one day and thought, man, if I could just add some clams, I'd have a winner here. And yeah, it's been out for a long time, so people buy it. I wouldn't want to kiss them, but they buy it, they drink it, and
I got
good
no
for them.
time for this.
All right, we are going to
We're gonna call Jay Busby.
Jay Busby. And before we do that, do I have Patreon music? I don't need Patreon music. I can do it without music.
There's your Patreon music, sir.
Hey, meet me down at the sock hop. Meet me down at Arnold's, and we'll talk about how you can become part of this team. You bitching about corporate radio, what radio's become? Perhaps you'd like to put some skin in the game. Hey, you know, we're like PBS. All these shows are free. They'll always be free. They'll be free to everybody. You don't have to pay a dime. You don't have to pay a penny. You're not a deadbeat if you don't. That's the way it's supposed to be. But Patreon.com is there for those who would like to be a part of this team. And it's a way for you to be a part of this team. You go to Patreon.com. You look Eric Von Radio. You'll find our page. We have several different levels per month that you can throw your skin in the game. $10, $25, $50, $100. $100. Who'd do that? I think we have
Some
7
people
people.
have.
We have 7 people now. And now that Greg has offered to play dominoes with anybody at that level, I'm sure we're going to see that skyrocket. I mean, that's just a chance of a lifetime that people are going to take advantage of.
I expect a raise after that.
Well, let's see. Let's see how much your domino skills bring into the coffers here at Eric Von Radio. You know, we're fully independent. We want to stay as independent as possible. We are talking to advertisers, but when they come in, we don't want that to we don't want to have like 7 an hour or something like that. So the more that we fund this ourselves, the more independence we retain. This network is for you. We never forget that. If you'd like to be a part of the team, go to patreon.com, look up Eric Von Radio, and check out all we got our bumper stickers and T-shirts.
Yeah, they're on their way. I should hear something back today or tomorrow.
Very good, and we'll get those out because that's a couple of things you get at the different levels. If you're at the $100 level, you get to meet with me at a shareholders meeting twice a year and eat and drink. Maybe have some bourbon and barbecue and talk about the
I'll
network.
start drinking. I'll be drinking for those no matter what.
Greg will be playing dominoes in the corner, and it'll just be a blast for everybody. Is Jay Busby
You have
there?
no clue. It takes skill and thought.
Excuse me, Greg. Do you hear that ridiculous sports sound? That means it's time for Jay Busby. Jay, you there, buddy?
I am right here. Sounds like a Grand Theft Auto Vice City going on back there.
That's exactly that's exactly what it is, man. Jay Busby from Yahoo Sports. You look up Yahoo Sports. You look up Jay Busby. He covers everything, and Yahoo is made a good turn for you, I would imagine, with this Marissa Meyer because there's more emphasis on the media side of things, which has got to make you happy, I would imagine.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that Yahoo drives so much traffic, and so I will write a story, and I'll hear from my first grade teacher and the doctor that delivered my brother and sister, all kinds of weird people coming out of the woodwork that are reading my stuff, plus the people that hate me, which is nice. That's always fun.
You always want to hear from the haters.
Yes.
They keep you grounded, Jay. They keep you grounded. Well, let me know what's going on in sports. I don't know if you want to start with Oscar Pistorius or not, but this is a pretty amazing story going down in what is the city? Pretoria.
In Pretoria, South Africa. Yeah, let's lead with that one because that is, I mean, to Americans, it's kind of it's not as big of a story, but this is their OJ trial. I mean, it's a cliche to say it, but it's true. I mean, Oscar Pistorius, the guy's known as the Blade Runner. He's missing both legs below the knee, but he was a champion in the Paralympics, competed in the Rio Olympics, and then Valentine's Day last year, he shot and killed his live-in girlfriend.
Allegedly.
No, he admits it.
No, he admits. Yeah, I
Finally?
went through before this. I prepared. I went through to make sure that there was no.
No, he admits that he fired the shots. He's just
Right.
saying that he thought that it was a burglar. He
But
did.
originally he had said, I don't know, I wasn't
Did he?
there. Yeah, originally he said that he had nothing to do with it.
No. I think he always said it was him. He just said
Really?
that he didn't do it on purpose. He thought that there was a break-in. Pretoria, South Africa is a tale of two cities, really. There's a lot of wealth there, and there's a lot of poverty, and there's a lot of violent crime, a lot of home break-ins, things like that. So rich people live behind gates, and they all have guns. So they, by going with that defense, at least people are willing to hear him out because there are a lot of home invasions.
Sure.
And his defense is that he heard something in the bathroom. He was afraid because he'd been having work done in the bath or in the house. There were ladders that someone had come in. There are no bars. This is to your point, Eric. There are bars on most of his windows. There were not bars on the bathroom. He thought there was someone in the bathroom. He starts firing, ends up killing her.
Yeah.
That's his side of the story.
4 shots through the bathroom door
Right.
while
Right.
she's sitting on the toilet If you go with my theory, which is she was cowering in fear, she was on the toilet cowering in fear, and he shot through the bathroom door and hit her.
What did she eat that day to where she couldn't say a word? Like, don't shoot, don't shoot.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why people find it to be ridiculous, you know.
And that also leads into the testimony is that testimony of a neighbor saying that she heard what she called a woman's scream, and then several things that sounded like gunshots to her. And now she was on the stand today.
I have that
today.
I have that lady, I think, here.
Just after 3, I woke up from a woman's terrible screams. Just after her screams, my lady, I heard 4 shots. It was 4 gunshots that I heard.
She's saying my lady, by the way, because the way this system works, it's not a jury system. There's a judge, and it's really up to her. She's known as a strict sort of law and order type of big sentences judge. And so she has 2 people, I think. So she's the judge, and then she has 2 assistants to help her with the case. But you're not, as a lawyer or whatever, you're not making your case to a jury. You're making your case to my lady, the judge there.
Right. And the controversy is whether, in fact, this was Reva Steenkamp screaming, or, as the defense says, whether it was Oscar Pistorius actually screaming. They contend that his voice raises several registers in pitch.
Right.
And so that this is going to be, as I've heard several people say, this is the potential for the O.J. Glove moment if they get him to scream in court and try and recreate this.
That's amazing.
I mean, this lady here, though, says that she's distinctly heard 2 voices, and they're trying to say that she was hearing the same voice. She was hearing his male voice and his excited female voice, and the lady says that's not true. And then they had a little bit of a controversy because this trial is televised, but supposedly the people in what's the word I'm looking for, testifying, are not supposed to be shown on television. And at one point, the prosecutor stands up in the middle of the cross-examination and says,
Really sorry to interrupt Ruth's cross-examination, but I've just been informed that they're showing this witness's face on the TV as we speak. And there's been a court order that should not be allowed. And it's now happening, my lady, and I really do think we should stop it.
So I don't know what they're going to do about that. Once the image gets out, it gets
Whose
out.
fault is that, though? That's got to be someone's got to take the fall for that, right?
We have cameras here, and if we don't want somebody seen, we just don't point the cameras at them. So I
That's
don't know.
That's what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
I mean,
Somebody's
why is there a
screwed
camera
up.
on this person? Even it may be that they tape everything for later, and you're only supposed to use these shots. I suppose I don't know, but it's not going to end the trial or anything. I don't think.
Right, and compare that with America, where everybody is looking to angle it into a reality show, where she would be more than happy to be shown on camera, I'm sure.
Exactly. How will people know who I am when I write my book?
Exactly.
Show me on camera.
So it's going to be a long trial. It's really it's the focus of South Africa, because this guy, this couple was just a marquee couple. You know, she was about to go on a reality show of her own. You know, she's a beautiful woman, a model. This guy was a national hero. I mean, this is going to be riveting stuff for the next few weeks for the entire country there.
Yeah, that's all they'll be doing. Maybe crime will go down in Pretoria because everybody's in front of their TV. Did anybody ever take a look at that? Did crime go down in Los Angeles during the O.J. Simpson trial? I wonder, because I remember watching that trial, and I know this is like when Michael, you were like a kid when that was going on.
6th grade.
I was actually working at a radio station with Cato Kalin in the middle of that trial, so I was more focused than most people are. But you'd be watching the O.J. trial, 6 months after it started. It's 2:00 in the afternoon. You're watching it, and you're saying to yourself, "This is stupid. Why am I watching this?" And yet you continue to watch the fascination when somebody sort of this beloved falls. And in South Africa, this guy is an absolute hero. I mean, he one of the most well-loved figures in South Africa before all of this happened.
Now, what was it like when the verdict came out? I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, but were you worried? Were you nervous?
I was only nervous if he was going to be found guilty. I thought he should have been found guilty. Obviously you're not nervous he's going to be not guilty, but we worked in Koreatown on Wilshire. So and it was an area that was, if not ground zero, it was part of like the Rodney King riots and stuff like that. So I mean, there had been trouble in that area before. So it's weird. I thought that justice was a guilty verdict, but when it came back not guilty, I was kind of like, well, I could drive into town today and not have to worry. I could drive my big white Buick into town and not have to worry about being dragged out and have a brick thrown in my head. But it was an interesting day because the people who ran the station decided that, it was all talk. So it was all talk shows all day long. We followed Cato Kalin at the time. He was on from 2 to 4. We were on from 4 to 7. And so the management of the station decided we want every show in here so that you can all guest on each other's shows on the day of the verdict. So I'm there, and before Cato went on, I was standing in a stairwell with him, and he had this piece of paper in his hand, and he's like, he's like nervously, he's written this statement out on a piece of paper, that he's going to read, because he had always said on his show, which was highly unlistenable, but he'd always said on his show that once the verdict came down, he was going to have something to say and he was going to whatever. And so I'm talking to him and I'm trying to be the old radio pro, like, hey man, just be yourself. Don't, all that kind of advice. And as I'm talking to him and his hand is shaking with this piece of paper, I look into his eyes and it occurs to me, this guy is so pilled out. He doesn't even hardly know where he is.
Well, what was the statement? Did he say anything?
It was nothing. He didn't reveal anything. It was one of the most disappointing things. As a matter of fact, when we were on after him, we called him back in because we were taking advantage of this idea that people are supposed to guest on each other's shows.
Right.
And I said, look, I want you to answer questions for me, okay? I'm going to start out light. What did you order at Burger King? And he would not answer.
Jesus.
And it's like I went to another thing, and finally I kicked him out of the studio. So you're worthless. Get out of here. This is you're
you guys are still buddies?
This ought to be a good radio moment. And but he was so afraid of something. I don't know what. He was probably just afraid of losing friends and status more than anything. But that guy was so pilled out that day. I looked through his eyes. I could see the wall behind his head. I mean, he was just gone. But anyways, that's a little chapter from Eric Von Hessler's life. Hey, LeBron put up like 63 points last night, right?
Yes. Flip it over to LeBron. He's tearing it up. I mean, we're starting to get into the realm of where Jordan comparisons are not completely farcical, to quote Al Michaels from the OJ trial.
Farcical.
It's a point where LeBron is just you're not surprised at anything that he does anymore, and it's a special time if you're a basketball fan.
Is he still wearing the mask?
Yes. Last I saw, he was still wearing the mask. I didn't see last night.
He's wearing the mask and the headband above it. Like, we stop it, shave it, make some weird funky designs, put some cheetah prints on it. Just take the goddamn headband off.
Well, he tried to have that cool black mask, and the NBA didn't like it. He looked like a superhero for one game.
I was going to say he needed a cape to go with it. That would have been so much better.
He was up against, Charlotte. I get the idea. Was it the Bobcats he was playing last night? Aren't they one of the worst teams in the league right now?
Yeah, I mean, you see this happen. Kobe scored 81 a few years ago, and he did it against Toronto, which is only slightly tougher than doing it in an empty gym. So, you've got to take that into account. But still, you are playing an NBA defense.
No, I hear that things were dropping. I like this. He says that he felt like he was tossing a golf ball into the ocean.
I felt like I had a golf ball thrown into the ocean. So especially in that third quarter, at one point I pulled up behind the three-point line, probably like 30 feet, and when that one went in, I knew I was in a really, really good groove.
Did he also break his tongue? Why does he sound like that?
He's exhausted after scoring 61 points.
Sounds like he's got a hoagie in his mouth.
He was hungry.
Golf ball into the ocean. Could you have come up with a worse comparison? A golf ball into the ocean?
He couldn't miss.
It's like the old hot dog down a highway. Or a hot dog down the hallway.
I think that
I like the hot dog down the highway a lot better. There's a lot of people on it. My girlfriend's a whore.
That was an AC/DC B cut. I think never made the album. So yeah, I think it's a great analogy. He couldn't miss tossing a golf ball into the ocean. That's how he felt. He couldn't miss.
Yeah, Shane Battier said, anytime LeBron and I combine for 64 points, it's a good night.
Yeah. It's like the Aaron brothers. Didn't they combine for like 762?
Right, exactly. Yeah, Tommy had about 5 and Hank had the rest.
Should I be interested? When do I get interested in the NBA? After the college basketball is over, then the NBA gets interesting, right?
Yeah, I tend to get interested. I mean, I'm always kind of keeping half an eye on it, but I tend to pick it up around the playoffs. So, in Atlanta, that means that we can safely ignore it for another few weeks.
You don't think we're going to make the play? We're going to make The Hawks.
Yeah.
No, they're not going to make
Oh,
it.
no, we will. It's the thing that I was kind of, it was more frustration than anything else. Atlanta is just always in this limbo where they're just good enough to make the playoffs and then just get ushered right out before anybody's even aware the playoffs start.
If you believe the hype, they're in a real rebuilding that's supposed to turn. I mean, that's supposed to turn into something. People kind of believe it's going to turn into something, but I've never understood how Atlanta doesn't have, one of the best basketball teams in America. All the pros live here.
Yeah.
I mean, not all of them, but I mean, a lot of guys in the NBA live in Atlanta, are from Atlanta, and that organization is so bad that we can't. I mean, you would think that people would grow up and think, one day I want to be a Hawk. Doesn't happen.
Well,
and it's a strange thing because the team managers, the stars that they pick are the most bland, uninspiring. I mean, we had two guys for half a decade whose names were Johnson and Smith, and that's it. And their names were their personalities.
Yes. Yeah, I don't understand it. One day the Hawks are going to be an unbelievable team because it's just inevitable that sooner
Gotta get
or
'em
later.
to Winnipeg.
All you need is you go join the hockey team. All you need is a couple of winning seasons, and I think a lot of guys will want to play in Atlanta. I don't know.
I tell you, I was at the. I got to do some a sketch pregame, behind the scenes, right by the team, and we were waiting for some people to come out so we could get involved. But they were doing all their
explain
pregame.
yourself. What does a sketch mean? What do you mean?
It was like a comedy thing we were doing. Like we were trying to film a sketch.
Oh, at the arena.
Yeah, a funny little video.
Okay.
And we were waiting in the hallway as they were doing all the pregame interviews, and they had that step and repeat, the Hawks thing, where all the reporters and the athletes are there talking. They're asking them all the same friggin' question over and over again.
Sports reporters, I hate them.
But why is
Except for Jay Buzzard.
And maybe Jay, maybe you can answer this for me, Jay. Why don't athletes even attempt to be unique or have any type of voice other than just this deep monotone nothing dreck that they say? Every answer was they were like, hey, so what do you think about the Wizards are coming into town, there's going to be a tough game, they got a great defense, what do you think is going to be the best point? Well, we've got to be on our game today. Why not the Wizards are coming to town, and I hope that their brooms don't show up in time so that they can't why don't they have a little bit of fun with it? Why
I think you mean wands, but I'm with it.
Well, the Wizard can also have a broom. They sweep up a lot. Their castles get dirty. I was trying to make a Harry Potter reference, but I realized I've never seen any of those movies.
Yeah, stay away from the Quidditch if you're not an expert.
They're just
That's
so
right, that's
boring.
right.
They're just the
I could
boring people on the planet.
I could do an entire dissertation that would bore all of y'all to tears about how much that infuriates me. That what happens is if somebody said something like, "Ooh, the Wizards, I'm so scared," something like that, that would be a 5-word quote that was funny that had everybody laughing. There would be one clown that would go and write it up and say, "The Hawks don't respect the Wizards. They don't respect the game."
Right. And then they would say, hey, "Who cares though?"
Well, because you're right. It would be more fun. It would be more to have better rivalries. But
More
they
people would
themselves know that they can get in trouble, and they've got $1 million contracts on the line. So the best thing to do is to not give the jackals any meat, I think, is the way they look at it.
You see what happens when somebody speaks their mind. Jason Collins and Dennis Rodman have never been in the news, and nobody likes them.
Well, right. And Jason Collins is on the other side of it. He's
but when Rodman was in the league, he was saying everything he wanted to when wearing friggin' dresses to the stadium.
But the thing about Rodman is he was so good that you couldn't ignore it. Charles Barkley's the same thing. He's such a presence. Anybody that's not at that level, anybody that causes a quote unquote distraction can be easily cut. If you're a second string cornerback,
right,
and you're there telling jokes, they're gonna get rid of you.
Yeah, this guy's a distraction in the locker room. I mean, it's the last thing that in the NFL or NBA or any of these places that they want. They want want certainty. It's like Wall Street. Wall Street wants certainty, and if you are the coach of a team, you want to go to work every day, and you do not want to put out fires that the reporters are creating out of some comment that was made. On the other side of it, though, reporters are not very imaginative. I mean, you ever sit around and really get deeply into a press conference with Mark Richt? I mean, these questions, they'll just keep asking the same question over and over. He is one of the most boring human beings. Good man, don't get me wrong. One of the most boring human beings who ever lived. And you've got these reporters who are just trying to push him to say something, which isn't going to happen. Or you get the reporters who find one person who can easily break emotionally, and then every press conference they'll just have the most idiotic question to try to break him so that they can have some news.
I want the XFL back. That's what I want. I want to see the XFL have a resurgence. The XFL gave us the biggest and most incredible technological advancement in sports, which is the flying camera.
Yeah.
The middle of the field.
You always
camera
get good
thing.
stuff out of these leagues.
Yeah.
But the
Vince
XFL
McMahon just get his shit together.
This is what Jay was just saying. The XFL had all the flavor, they had all the characters. They didn't have any players. They didn't have good players. If they had had great players and you had the mouths on the players, you'd have something. But just a mouthy player who was their biggest star was that he hate me guy.
Right.
The guy he got cut from arena football teams, I think. I mean, there was nothing there. So at the end of the day, if you're a great athlete with a big mouth, that's the best of both worlds. But they come along like once every 20 years or something.
Yeah.
Now, the flip side of that is a guy like Jeff Francoeur, who, as it turned out, was a terrible baseball player, but the guy was the nicest, best interview you have. I mean, I'm sure that guy hung on an extra couple of years in the league just because he was such a damn good interview and nobody disliked him and wrote all kinds of good stuff about him.
Is he out of baseball now?
I think last I heard he was trying to make the Giants, but I'm not sure where he is. I mean, he's teetering on the edge. Yeah. He's as close as you can get to out.
He was on the Royals for a while, right?
Right.
And I think he's a fan favorite everywhere he goes. He's always great in the locker room. Just never could quite get it done on the field with the expectations and the way he started with the Braves, which was just on fire. And then that fire quickly went out.
He's with the Indians right now in spring training.
Cleveland
trying
Indians.
to make the team.
There we go. He would swing. I mean, he'd swing at the catcher throwing the ball back to the pitcher. I mean, he swung at everything. He had no patience.
That's not how you play baseball, is it?
Well, you see, he learnred in Australia. They do everything upside backward, I think.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
So
in Parkview High School baseball, perfect.
But he was a good guy, and he'll probably end up back here in Atlanta, I would imagine, at the end of his career. He'll probably go into media, I would imagine. Well-spoken dude.
I think he's got the presence for it, and he's got the knowledge for it.
Yeah, he's just a hell of a nice guy. It's too bad but if Francoeur had the numbers of Freeman and he was that nice, I mean, he'd be on top of the world.
I hear Freddie Freeman's pretty good at passing out in the middle of the streets.
Freddie Freeman has been seen in Buckhead on a bench or two.
Good for him, man.
Engaged now, so maybe he's calming down.
You think he's calming down? Yeah. It's like those Braves players, man, when you get up there around that little area of Buckhead, where the guy's holding the big world over there by the Buckhead Theater, man, they just let it go. They don't care. I guess because they're Braves that nobody ever reports on.
College girls, that's why.
No, I know that, but I mean, they just, oh, is that Freddie Freeman passed out on a bench? Yeah, it is. What the hell? Nobody, I think the Braves are probably the only franchise in town that the people actually protect them from themselves sometimes.
Wouldn't it be great if, say, he passes out on a bench, somebody draws penises all over him in the middle of the season, and he has to go at bat with a giant dick just drawn on his cheek?
Then we would know that Michael Albanese was there.
Really, that would be me.
Came across him in a drunken stupor and did something. If you're young and you're a college girl and you want to have sex with an Atlanta Brave, go down there in that little area there.
Yeah. Or somebody that just says they're an Atlanta Brave.
Yeah. Walk around wearing a uniform.
Plenty of those people.
Wear a uni, you'll get laid. Anything else we should know about in sports there, Jay Busby?
Did you hear about the Richard Sherman's reply? Have you guys talked about the NFL's attempt to ban the N-word on the field?
Now,
this is an interesting one.
Oh, no, absolutely. I didn't even know that there was an official attempt by the NFL to get rid of it.
It is not yet official. The competition committee, it's all bureaucratic nonsense, but they're meeting later this week. One of the proposals on the table is a 15-yard penalty if a referee hears someone using the N-word.
Get out of here. The game will never end.
Yes.
What's the announcement at that point?
Now, wait a minute.
What's the announcement that the ref makes?
That's a great question. And what if it's a white guy that does it and they call the penalty? I mean, that guy's career is over in that instance. So it's a ridiculous idea.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna be unpopular here and say that maybe it's not such a ridiculous idea, because what it really does is protects the white player, right? Because if nobody can say it, then nobody can say it. But it's kind of a weird world where some people can say it and other people can't say it. Like, if the white player says it, there's going to be trouble, right? My guess is that white players don't throw that around on the field very often. So
it gets thrown at them quite a bit. I played football for a very short period of time, and when I was younger, and it was nonstop.
So
every word on the field is
so. If you think about it, hate to bring in a word fairness, but this is a game that we're playing. Is it okay that somebody can yell that at me, but I can't yell that back?
I mean, look,
And
that's not that. I don't think that's the issue.
Because then you get the bullying thing. This obviously comes out of the Dolphins deal, where incognito, a white guy was using it. His understanding from his black friends was that he was an honorary black dude who was allowed to use that word, and it gets very complicated.
Does that come with a certificate, or does he have some kind of keychain?
He does. He said it's like a diploma that hangs on his wall near his locker.
I don't know, man. I just think that
he's a professor of enology.
Who are you trying to protect, though? Because nobody can hear it other than the players, unless they put those giant, like, salad bowls with the microphones on them.
They're trying,
and then they start blasting it over broadcast television. That's when it becomes a problem.
That makes me wonder. I'd love to be what's on the cutting room floor of those NFL films.
The problem is that the game is not gonna get played.
It'll get played because a couple of guys will lose a game for their team, and it'll be gone, man. You do something that loses 15 yards when you could have won that game by 1 point, you lose it. It will go away if they decide that they want it to go away. And also, let's look at this. I hate to, again, maybe I'm just feeling all Mr. Rogers here today, but we're pushing our youth into these sports, and usually as the top pro game goes, those are kind of that's the world that dribbles down into high school football. If the top pros say you got to use this kind of equipment because it's the best equipment, well, then all the pressure goes to the college. Well, you got to have the best equipment. And then the high school, what kind of helmet are you putting on my kid's head? So, I think that they would have to get rid of all cursing, though. They can't just say one word, right?
Well, that was exactly what Richard Sherman was saying. He called it, his quote yesterday was that it was atrocious because it's zeroing in on that one word. And Adrian Peterson said he's heard much worse stuff than that said, which leads me to wonder, like you said, Eric, what's on the cutting room floor that's worse than that?
I'd love to be at that Christmas party. To hear the blooper reel from the NFL field. Those guys, a lot of stuff goes on the field that even though it's televised and HD and everything, you don't see. I know people who played in the league, and they said, people are vomiting all over the place during a football game, and you never see it. You never see it, even on the turf. One player told me he had the runs. He had to go out there and kick a field goal, and he was running down his leg. It's all kinds of stuff goes on. If you don't think the urine and feces is knocked out of you at some point on those
like
games.
They could put some porta johns on the sidelines for those guys.
Those guys get hit. I was oh god, I can't remember. I was asking. I'm blanking on the name. Football player had a couple of concussions, and I asked him. I've always I've always wondered how you could go as a receiver, as this guy was. Oh, it was Brian Finneran. He got 4 or 5 heavy duty concussions in his career, and I was saying, like, after you get a concussion, how can you ever cut across the middle again and keep focused on that ball when you know the guy's coming? And actually, it makes a lot of sense. He said, you don't remember a concussion. You don't feel pain. There's no sting of pain or anything. You just don't remember the incident. So it's very easy to put out of your mind the next time you run across the field.
Oh, that's a horrifying thought for what's left of Brian Finneran's head.
Exactly.
I mean, we all could have concussions and not know we did it.
You never even know that it happened. He told me one time when he played in Barcelona, I think, that he sustained a concussion and didn't realize it. Started walking around, didn't quite know where he was. Went over to his side of the field. Still had his helmet in his hand. The coach of his position didn't know that he had a concussion. Sent him back out there. Said he was out there for 4 plays. That he didn't even know where he was. He didn't know he was in a football game. He didn't whatever. Yeah, and then apparently what happens is then people started to realize, and because I think he started to walk to the wrong sideline when he was coming out of the thing. And then he said, like, the equipment guy comes along, takes your helmet away from you, and that way, even if all the coaches don't know, you can't find your helmet, you can't go in.
Well, that's, the famous story about Troy Aikman is during one of the NFC championships. He got hit so hard that he thought that he was back in the Texas high school championship.
He thought he was playing a high school game.
That's
and he started answering questions after the game, like, yeah, we went against, College High or whatever it was, and they ushered him right off the stage in a hurry. They realized how messed up he was.
But here's the thing. I believe they won that game.
Yeah. Oh, they did.
They went on to the Super Bowl. The guy is that good in his position that he thought he was in high school playing a high school championship game and still won on Monday Night Football or whatever. No, I mean in the championship game. I don't know if it was a championship game or just in the playoffs. It was
one of those. Yeah, it was one of those late, and he just got his bell rung so hard that he knocked back to high school.
Well, I look forward to a day where we no longer have the N-word in the NFL. Can we need to, I hearken back to a time where there were less tattoos. Hell, there were no tattoos. When our athletes didn't look like pirates who had just docked their ship in port for a couple of days. When there used to be a thing, I think even in that movie, The Rookie. Remember that movie, The Rookie, about the guy who wants to
I was thinking Rookie of the Year.
No. No, The Rookie was a true story.
You know how many times I tried to break my arm when Rookie of the Year came out because I was like, I want to get reset properly.
I don't know that movie.
Oh man.
Oh, that's
Get with
I don't know Rookie of the Year.
It's a kid that wanted to play baseball and he sucked and he was, in like middle school, maybe early high school, and then he like slipped on a ball and messed his arm up. He had to get in a cast. So the doctor reset it wrong.
Oh.
And when he wound it up, he was super, and he made it on the Cubs.
That's fantastic.
He could throw a ball from the outfield bleachers all the way to the catcher at home without bouncing it.
Yeah, and then
just absurd.
If that was true, the Braves would pick him up, and the arm would go immediately back to the way it was before. In The Rookie, it was a true story about a guy who was kind of washed up from baseball, but then works his way back into baseball. And there's a scene in there where he gets called to the major leagues, and he calls his wife, and he says, "I need a suit coat," because the concept was, you go into the major leagues, you got to look decent. You've got to put on a suit coat, and you're walking up to a professional level. And I just think that we've lost that now. And the N-word is along in there with it. These people they don't have to be ultimate role models, but, the kids are taking their cues from them, and that's worth at least, I wouldn't pass legislation on it, but I can understand the NFL saying that they want a bit of a cleaner game out there. The microphones are stronger than they've ever been. This stuff is going to get out sooner or later. They're trying to head off a lot of troubles that'll come down the line, I think. So
how much do you think they're going to enforce it really, though? Is this just something they're putting out there to bring it to light?
Maybe.
Or are they really going to be enforcing it on the field so much? Because, like you said, it trickles down to other levels. So if it's like, well, it's not allowed in the NFL, and maybe at that point the word kind of works its way out, instead of actually throwing penalties out on the field.
It will be hilarious, the first white guy who gets that. But,
really.
That is going to. I think what the refs are going to say foul language. They're not going to say which word it was. So they're not going to.
Maybe it'll just be unsportsmanlike conduct. You won't know.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, something like that. Because if the white guy does it, you better get him out of that stadium quick.
We need to set up a prop bet for which guy it's going to be. Is it going to be Tom Brady? Do you think he's going to be the first one?
Now, do you think
Riley Cooper?
Riley Cooper.
That's 1-to-1 odds. I don't think that's even on the board.
Now, so what happens then if can you get a replay? Throw the white flag.
Slow down. Have that Fox super slow audio. Now, I believe he said Negro. I'm going to say, hey, let's call that guy that we call Pirelli or whatever his name is. What do you think? You should be able to have an actual replay of it. Throw a red flag out there. I believe he said Negro. Let's go to the tape.
That's right. We need a linguistics professor to determine whether he actually said the word.
You need to have that dummy Jesse Jackson as a new sideline reporter.
Guilty.
I think there's new deaf refs that are brought in who can read lips.
I think it's
added to the crew.
I think it's just it's an overall thing. We focus on the N-word. I think the guys are not coming into the professional leagues with as much fear of that league and with as much respect for that league as they should have. And I think that's the worry, that it's just getting a little too, for lack of a better word, street.
Well, that's the tricky part about anybody coming into the NFL is that they don't realize that they don't get to change the culture when they come in, that they have to change to accommodate the overall culture, and otherwise they're out in a hurry.
The game is bigger than you, no matter what the professional league is, and that's something you have to keep in mind. And you see a lot of times young players don't realize that until they lose $100,000 a couple of times, then they begin to get in line. Jay Busby, Yahoo Sports. You cover everything, do you not? You just cover everything.
Anything. I mean, I'm covering a grocery cart race this afternoon at the Kroger. Just to do it, just because I have to. It's in my blood.
Are you really?
No.
I want to go.
But if there is one, I'll go to it.
If there's competition,
do they need an announcer? I'm in. I'm for hire.
If there's competition, Jay Busby is covering it. Jay, thanks for joining us again. Hopefully, we can talk to you in a couple of days. Jay Busby, Yahoo Sports. Thanks, man.
See ya.
I also want to mention that I love that sports sounder. puts me in
You
the
love
mind
it.
of-
You hate it.
No, that's by love it I mean hate it.
You should mention it every time it plays, though.
I do.
I know you do.
I do. I'm trying to get across the idea that maybe we can come up with something else. It's a little more.
That's fair.
Actually,
No,
it's kind of
because
growing.
the moment you love it, when you said you loved it, I was like, time to get rid of it. That's what
Yeah.
I was thinking. The point is, you need to hate it.
It's growing on me. It is growing on me to a certain degree. I mentioned Patreon.com earlier. I want to take the time to mention that if you do any shopping at Amazon.com, and who the hell doesn't, go to our website, ericvonradio.com, click on that Amazon banner, and then do whatever you're normally going to do. And that's a way to help give to this show. We get a little bit of a kickback. You probably will have to turn off your ad blocker once, but just once, and then bookmark it. And then every time you go to Amazon, you go through there. And it's no skin off your back, and we get a little bit. I believe we've made $30 so far.
It's pretty good.
Well,
Every little bit helps.
There's the Rolex Yachtmaster 2 men's watch, $37,995. I think
Yeah.
you should buy that.
you say
Or the
2
Zenith
men's?
class Turboling men's
it's a
automatic
2-men.
watch. That's $86,000.
Wait, slow down. Slow down.
like handcuffs?
Wait, slow down. What is a 2-man watch?
It's a number. It's not the 2-man watch. You're not sharing it. It's the Yachtmaster 2 men's watch.
I got you. Okay. So this is the sequel to the very successful Yachtmaster male watch that was on. So that one's 370 something thousand.
That's no, it's
Oh, okay.
$37,995. But there's the Zenith class men's automatic watch 650520. It's a $140,000 watch on Amazon. Only $86,800.
That's
so
a
make
deal.
that purchase.
That's a deal. And why? And my point is, why would you go to a jewelry place or some kind of place like that to get a watch?
When you can
'Cause
trust UPS with that
you
watch.
can trust UPS, and Eric gets a kickback. You know, the 4 or 6% or something like that of something like that would be fantastic for us.
Be
So
amazing.
I guess what I'm saying is not only go to Amazon.com, but buy things that you can't afford. But you do have to pay for them. You can't send them back because we don't get the money until the return policy thing period has ended. So give that a shot. That's another way to help us out and help yourself out. Be part of the team here at Eric Von Radio. Autumn is not here again. She's at jury duty, or I think she's an alternate, so she's just got to sit there. Big fat pregnant woman sitting there,
She's gonna show up.
crocheting or something like that. And hopefully she won't get picked for a case, so we can have her back by tomorrow. So we're going to go through a little bit of news here in our own little way. I wanted to mention that I don't know how. I think the critics kind of went half and half on Ellen DeGeneres as host of the Academy Awards. I kind of liked her style, but I can agree that it got almost a little too deadpan at one point. It was
I think she's played it safe.
But it did kind of. It looked almost like she was sort of making it up as she went along toward the end of the night in the crowd.
She had that pizza delivery guy on her show the other day.
Yeah.
I guess right after. I guess yesterday would have been that day.
On Ellen?
It turns out that guy was really just delivered. He owned a pizza, the closest pizza place to the theater. Showed up and he ended up getting a $1,000 tip.
Yeah, which by the way was in that hat. She got Pharrell's hat, passed it around, and it ended up with $1,000.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good still in that room. I think it should have been.
Yeah, a little
You
bit
know,
more.
I mean, what the hell? Here's a guy who spends money at your movies, right? You've
Exactly.
really got an opportunity.
Well, in that
through
case, give
him,
all of us money.
Through him to say, here's an ordinary guy, right? And he's delivering pizzas. He owns the place, but it's a small business.
Yeah.
I mean, he should have walked away with $10,000.
Something crazy.
Should have been easy. Every one of them could have dropped $1,000.
You should have at least been able to keep Pharrell's hat. Just take that home and hang it on the wall.
I think Pharrell's hat went up for auction with something like Elton John's AIDS Foundation or something like that, and brought in $10,000 or something like that.
What kind of
I
dummy
was-
would buy
Well, they're doing it for the
Pharrell's
cause.
hat? Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, that's
but
fine. I wish we weren't mentioning the hat because that's the news story. People, this is the cute news story. We're going to talk about the hat.
Yeah.
We're better than that this show.
I understand that, but what is it? Is that the same hat he wore at the Grammys?
It's a
that got
goofy
so much
hat. It's
talk?
a stupid-looking hat. That's what it was.
I know, and then he wore it again, and it does get an awful lot of ink, that hat. But hey,
well, here's
That's
the
I
because
didn't
people
see the
think
hat
they're
as being that unusual.
Being creative in my writing. I'm going to write about the hat. No one takes that angle.
Speaking of the Oscars, though, is that what it was? It was the Oscars, not the Grammys, right?
Yes, the Oscars.
The guy that was in Captain Phillips,
yes.
Barkhad Abadi,
Yeah.
Abdi,
The guy who
Barkhad
played
Abdi.
the lead pirate.
Yeah, he is broke.
Yes, you know what?
The clothes he wore to the Oscars were lent to him because that movie was filmed over 2 years ago, and they only gave him $65,000. Which, but not only that's a pretty good amount of money.
That's a decent amount of money.
But where there's no royalties? Like, is that? I mean,
Yeah.
I get royalty checks from commercials that nobody even sees, that aren't even on anymore. Still, like this guy's got to be
he had
getting
never
some
been in a
serious
movie.
money.
Was
No,
it his first acting job?
no, yeah, his very first acting job
He's
ever.
he's a refugee or something, and he lives
was
in
working-
Michigan or something.
Yeah,
or-
he was working in Minneapolis,
Minneapolis.
and he was working at his brother's cell phone store.
Right.
And
he quit before the movie
he
came
saw,
out.
like an open casting for looking for some Somalians or people that could portray Somalians, and they were like, he's like, I might as well. And then
he must be
got
remarkable in the
part.
movie. He got an Academy Award. I didn't see the movie,
and he has no money.
He
That's
looked pretty
incredible.
intense in the scene. Now that did not surprise me when I saw that story, because when when I see people, I get a good idea of who they are and what's going on. All right, this guy's teeth have not been fixed. He's been, and this movie's been out and he's up for an Academy Award. So I said immediately, okay, he's not a very rich guy. And when he didn't win, I didn't know this story, but when he didn't win, I really sensed that he was like, oh man, there goes my whole life. I mean, like everything was kind of wrapped up in this. I'm going to be, because he looked like he was in clothes that weren't his. He did not look as done up as all the other stars. And if you think about it, if he doesn't get those teeth fixed, he ain't going to get another role. There aren't many roles.
That's not
How
true.
many roles can you have for a guy where that feature?
Plenty.
I'm not trying to be mean here. I'm saying that's a prominent feature, and that's something that's going to be big time on your movie that's huge up on the screen. How many roles can there be for that? I mean, he basically played somebody that he knew. That he had seen these characters before, and he was able to play that. I just think it's going to be bad for this guy. I got a weird feeling when I was watching him at the Oscars. Like I thought, without getting that Academy Award, it's going to mean hundreds of thousands of dollars to this guy that he's not going to get.
Yeah.
Without that accolade.
He could always play a junkie or something with those teeth.
Yeah,
exactly.
There's plenty of those roles out there. Unfortunately, according to his IMDb, he's got nothing in production right now.
No, he was
That's
kind of
terrible.
He was kind of a one-off guy. He was perfect for that role. Apparently, did it so well. Got the Academy Award nomination.
He'll get something. He'll get some
Captain
sort
Phillips
of crazy
2?
role. Yeah, right.
The
Captain
Redemption?
Phillips too.
Captain Phillips goes and finds him.
Captain Phillips goes to the NBA.
I don't know.
All right.
Was that character killed at the end? I remember the story. I remember the
think so.
news
I think
story.
he's
thought
the one who was kept alive. Two of them were shot. I think if he's the main guy.
Okay, so he can come back. There is a chance for a sequel.
He'll be all right.
Was that
There was because I think what happened was the crew took the pirates captain, held him, and I don't know if this is the role he played. I haven't seen the movie. And then they took Captain Phillips in return.
Right.
And then so
Oh, okay.
the one guy who was arrested and brought to the United States was the one that I think the crew kidnapped, the American crew.
Right.
And then they took Captain Phillips as collateral, and then the Navy just kind of ran them around until they ran out of fuel, and then shot the two guys on there.
Yeah, I remember the shooting coming down. I remember that whole thing happening. So, yeah, I just felt when I saw the guy and he didn't win. I don't know. I got a pang in the stomach. Like that guy. That's hurting. That guy's hurting for not winning this. Whereas, if the other guys, who
Jared
did,
Leto.
Yeah, well, Jared Leto won, but I mean, like, who else was up that's never won?
Jonah Hill.
Leo DiCaprio.
Well,
he can
was
handle
best
it.
actor though. We're talking about.
Yeah, well, this was best supporting actor.
Yeah.
So
Jonah Hill, second time up.
Oh yeah, right. But I mean,
He's fine.
Jonah Hill's fine.
He's clearly
I bet you
eating.
he's got one or two or three or five or 10 things in production on his
for sure.
IMDb.
Yeah.
He's doing fine. But this guy,
They're doing the Richard Jewell movie, right?
are they?
Him and Leo are going to be doing a
Get
movie
outta
about
here.
Richard Jewell and that story.
That's the story that
What a
should. I hope
horrible
that's
story.
done. I hope that's done right, because that guy's story should be told, because he
Yeah.
was screwed, and he was screwed by something that hopefully, since that story happened, there's less reliance on. But this was a time when the FBI, who I believe would have been in charge of that investigation, was really relying on these profilers.
Yeah.
These academics who were never out on the streets, never part of an interview, investigation, a proper investigation. You might as well bring in psychics, to try to find a baby that's gone missing. I mean, so the profiler comes in, and this guy, Richard Jewell, just happened to match everything. They couldn't figure out who it was, and they had a profile of a guy who's kind of stocky, a little bit dumpy, and
Middle-aged white guy.
Richard Jewell was the hero of the evening, and the whole idea was, as a profiler, there is this type of person who will plant a bomb, in this instance, so that he can come to the rescue, so that he can be the hero. That was it. That's all they had on him. They had nothing else. There was zero evidence that he had anything to do with that bombing, except for profilers going, no, I learned about him in school. He's a perfect match. It's definitely him.
And then
it's
the AJC
voodoo.
printed it.
Oh, no,
and
the whole thing, I mean, the guy was humiliated. His apartment, God forbid if he had any porn stashed in his apartment. I think he was living with his mom at the time. And I remember seeing him sitting out on the steps while the FBI went through, took his computers, took everything from him. And the guy had nothing to do with it. He was working security. He did his job and won a bunch of I think he won a lawsuit against the AJC. I think he won a lawsuit against 96 Rock in Atlanta. He won lawsuits against people, but he was found to be cleared. But it affected his life badly. He never got over it. I don't know much about the guy. We interviewed him once on the old show, but it was
after
by phone.
he was already
after he was exonerated. I think he was for a while. He was working in a small town in southern Georgia as a cop or something like that. But
he died though.
He died. He died very young.
Yeah,
and
a heart attack.
I don't know a whole lot about him as a person or his story.
He died at 44 from severe heart disease, kidney disease, and diabetes.
Which, a lot of that probably has to do with lifestyle and diet, but stress can knock that up a few notches as well.
ESPN just did one of the 30 for 30 documentaries. It's a short documentary. It's not 30 minutes long. It's about 15, 20 minutes, but it does a really good job telling the whole story.
Oh, really? And because he seemed broken mentally after that. I mean, he never seemed to recover. So that's be actually an interesting story. But why are Jonah Hill and Leo DiCaprio? Are they the new Richard Pryor and Gene? I can't remember his name.
Jonah's going to be playing Jewel, and DiCaprio is going to play his attorney. It's off the 1997 Vanity Fair article called "American Nightmare: The Ballad of Richard Jewell."
Yeah, I mean,
you know what? If those two are signing up for it, I'm in.
I just hope it's done well. I hope it's done right and well, because I think it's a good story. I haven't read the Vanity Fair thing. So now it's my turn. We're going to go back and forth.
Well, that actually makes me want to talk about we were talking about that death row thing. Do you want to get into that today? Do we have enough time? Maybe we can do that tomorrow.
Let's do some stories first,
Okay.
and then we'll do it toward the end. There's a new study out that is finding that an awful lot of people in this country are addicted to OxyContin and Vicodin, and at this point now, in a lot of major cities, overdoses on pills are above heroin and cocaine and the stuff they're seeing from the past. This study that has something, I think some branch of the CDC is involved in this. And what they found, though, is that most of it is prescription drugs that people have legally that they're abusing. And in Tennessee, one out of every, I think it's one out of it's an amazing stat, if I could ever find it, which I won't be able to because now I'm talking about it. Something like 1 in every 3 people, I don't want to get this wrong, in Tennessee. Let's see. 1 in 3 Tennesseans uses opiates, as they're called. And people are overdosing on this stuff. And this is a cautionary tale for my friend Greg Ross. That's all. I wanted to bring this up.
I make no I don't hide the fact that I like taking those pills, but I am well aware of the dangers of them and the addiction that comes with them. So I'm responsible in my occasional use.
Can you quit whenever you want?
Yes, of course. I can quit.
Hold on. The reason
I tell myself every night before I go to sleep, tomorrow I don't have to do this tomorrow. I just want to.
Boom.
It's one of those things where you have to ask the question, could you quit anytime you wanted to if you didn't have to jump through any hoops to get the pills? Like there's a pile of pills in the corner.
Well, you stay away from it. That's why you have to be smart enough to stay away from that stuff, because I think once you are addicted, you can't just quit. That's the thing with opiates. You're in. And you're saying these are prescribed to the people, or are they buying them legally? Because I know it's easy to get them if you really want to.
I think the article is claiming legally.
A lot more of this has to do with legal prescriptions.
They go doctor shopping.
Yeah,
they go from doctor to doctor. They get multiple prescriptions.
Right. But they say an awful lot of it is just stuff that's prescribed by doctors, and then what they're doing is they're just prescribing pain medication for a year at a time or a year and a half.
You could go to those pain clinics too that they're shutting down, but they still exist. And you just go in and they just give you prescriptions.
Well, I don't find it to be the doctor's fault. I mean, the major pharmaceutical companies, they're a sales organization first. Like that's how they make money. They have to be a sales company.
I
You
thought they
you
made
think
li-
a
I thought they
doctor?
made
You think a
li-
doctor?
I thought
a medical?
they made money saving lives.
No, clearly because 1 in 3 Americans are on pills,
Well,
and it's killing people.
It's killing people.
Absolutely.
People don't know that this is not a good idea. This
when
is not
the
of their
doctor,
own volition.
the doctor says take these pills. When I've been to the doctor, when I hurt my foot recently, I had like a sprain in the tendon,
Yes.
and my foot ballooned to the point where I couldn't even get into my shoes. The doctor immediately started writing out pain prescriptions, and I said no. What else can I do? And she looked at me like I had 2 heads.
But that's the beautiful thing. That's the beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You said no.
Exactly, because of my
you're
own
smarter
volition.
than all these
That's
people
not what
that
I'm
have to be
saying.
protected.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the look on her face.
Right.
She said like, "Whoa, no, you don't." People don't say no to pills.
Right.
It blew her mind that somebody was like,
Well,
"No,
that's
I don't want the
cool.
pain pills."
That's cool, but I this idea that pharmaceutical companies do better if their drugs kill people, I'm not
No,
buying
that's not
that.
what I'm saying.
As a marketing
That's not what I'm
strategy,
saying.
I don't think that works.
What I'm suggesting is that doctors, their incentive is so high,
Right.
and the majority of their money is prescribing medications, that they will prescribe the medications in order to keep their practice open, in order to make the money, and then they get incentivized.
But there's a lot of generics out now for these drugs. I know there's doctors that get kickbacks for certain prescriptions that they put out there, and I agree with you on that point, Michael. But I don't know with painkillers at this point, are they making money? Are there kickbacks for these? I think
Absolutely.
they just hand them out maybe too easily without
What do you mean?
discretion.
How is there a kickback? These are generics now, aren't they?
That's what I'm saying.
OxyContin
I'm
is
saying I don't
generic.
think
It's
there's
not.
any kickbacks.
Who do you think's making the generics?
I understand who's making generics. Your hostile attitude toward these companies that have made life so livable and so wonderful. Break your frickin' arm in 1730
Sure.
and come talk to me,
I got
man.
that.
How about a little bit of appreciation and respect for the people who came up with chemotherapy?
But
for the people who
that's
who
not what I'm
have,
talking
you know,
about. I'm
if
talking
you
about
use-
predatory prescribing. I'm talking about yes,
Predatory.
absolutely. They make great things.
Grow up, get an
They make
education.
good
You're
pills.
responsible for yourself.
They make pills that save lives and keep people from being in pain, which is the could
You
be
can't
the best
do
possible
that without
thing.
making addictive pills. by the way.
Absolutely,
It's not possible.
Sure, but to put stats and to put minimums on. Okay, well you'll get this much and this much. We need you to prescribe these many pills. That's a real thing that
You're
happens.
also saying that
you shouldn't
doctors
have to
have
force
no
a-
conscience whatsoever.
I'm not
because
saying
these
that they
not
are, but you
stupid
got to
people.
understand that there's just because they're doctors doesn't mean that they're moral or above making money for themselves
All
and
right,
their family.
I'm buying your theory
Okay?
that a good business model is that doctors and pharmaceutical
Absolutely.
companies kill their patients
No one
with
said
their
anything
drugs.
about
I'm not
killing.
saying
You're the
kill
only
them.
one that
I'm
brought
not
that
saying
up.
Kill them.
You can't.
There's just
you
too many
can't-
drugs being prescribed.
If there was a pill to cure cancer, in my mind, I think there is something out there that's not being exposed. That you can't make money at it.
No,
we're in a
no,
we're in a
no.
we're in
You
a
can't.
commercial
Let me tell
society,
you
my
something.
friend.
If I'm the CEO of the company, I'm only going to be there another 15 years, right? In that 15 years, my ending cancer as we know it pill is going to make a whole hell of a lot of money.
Or-
and then I'm going to retire, and I'm not going to not put that out. There is nobody. Listen to me, Michael. There is not one single person in
In your mind.
pharmaceuticals that wouldn't end cancer if they could. These people don't live in a bubble, Michael. They have aunts, uncles, peoples in their lives. They've seen what cancer does. They don't live in an ivory tower where cancer doesn't exist. They've seen children with leukemia. This concept that the people who are in these industries aren't people like you and me who have conscience and care. You want money too, and I want money, but we have things that we'll stop at. And when you say that somebody else won't do it, you're just saying I'm so much better than that person.
No.
That person, no.
I
If
look at
you
the-
have
I'm
a
looking
drug,
at-
if you have a drug for cancer and you hold on to it, you are not a good person. And I want to know the name. I want you to tell me his name is Dick something, and he lives
It probably
somewhere.
is Dick something.
It probably is. But don't give me this amorphous "they're out there"
Listen,
and we know it.
look,
I want the address and phone number of that guy
The
because I got a
concept
few
of
questions
there's no
for him.
money, that there's no money in the cure is a real thing. You look at the Susan G. Komen Foundation for the cure. You
Right.
look at the stats at how much money
Yeah, but
actually
they're not-
goes to pay
Okay.
And goes to research versus how much
You're
goes into
right.
the pockets of the
You're right.
executives
You're
and
right.
the kickbacks that they give to other people.
You're right
and
about
the NFL,
that.
how much money
You're
they make.
right about that.
Please.
You're right about that, but that's a problem with charities.
Sure.
And it runs rampant through charities. Nobody in the
So
Susan
you think
G.
that the
Komen
person
Foundation is
you
going to
think the
cure
s-
cancer.
You think the CEO or the head or the board of directors that are making hundreds of millions of dollars a year being
has
on the board of
children and a
directors,
mother and a father
exactly,
and sisters
and they're
and brothers.
pocketing all that money that people are giving away because their families family members because they feel bad that they want to donate and they want to do
They're
the
not
walk.
good people if they are, Michael. They're not good people.
So they're
if
not
they are.
making hundreds
It's
of
not
millions of
possible.
dollars.
What you don't understand about capitalism is it does not sanction immoral behavior for profit.
So is it moral to make $100 million a year on the board of a cure cancer foundation?
No, but that's
that
a
comes
charity
from the
problem.
that's
No,
I'm done.
that's a
That's
charity
a person
problem.
though.
You'll find
we're
the
talking
same-
about people.
Hold on.
We're generically talking about people right
you
now.
will find that that's somebody making money where they shouldn't. But you'll find that in the United Way. You'll find that
Absolutely.
everywhere
But
with
you're
charities.
you're
You have to be
suggesting that
careful where your
because they
money
work
goes.
for a charity
but
means
you said very easily, nonchalantly, that you believe that there are people in this world who have a cure for cancer and they don't make it available to others. And I'm telling you,
I think
that is 100%
okay,
not
I'll
true.
take. I think that there are cures for diseases that aren't being exposed.
I don't believe that to be
and
true.
processes that are being stifled because they haven't figured out how to
Do you
make
know
money.
how
on it.
often you have to make money on a drug that gets through because you've spent hundreds of millions of dollars in trials and research for 9 other drugs that didn't work out and aren't going to go to market. When you have one hit drug, you got to pay for that drug and the 9 trials and failures that come with it.
Sure, and that's when you start
look at something-
incentivizing doctors to prescribe more of it.
I blame the doctor
in order to make
I
the
would
money.
blame the doctor. Let me tell you something.
I
If
don't know,
if
man.
I ever die of an overdose and I wasn't slipped a Mickey, it's my fault. 100%. It's my fault. Can we get back to responsible? Oh, the doctors are predatory and they maybe.
But
no,
you're putting
you
too much-
know
you're putting
addiction's
too
not
much-
good. You
We're
know
not talking
addiction's
about
not
death.
good.
I don't think we're going as far as death with the prescription drugs. I think it's just that they're handing too many of them out. And we can go deeper on this. The fact that doctors are in so much debt because of their schooling,
Well,
that's ridiculous
there's
in its
that.
own right.
Well, there's that, but I mean, you can make money as a doctor over time. You can
Over time, you
alleviate.
can, but you need to make that back. So here's an easy way to do it. Hey, I just have to prescribe your drug. This helps. I don't take it as far as Michael.
I know a lot of
don't think
doctors.
that cures are being.
I just
held
happen
back.
to have doctors in my extended family. I happen to know people who do work for pharmaceutical companies. The image of these people, what is happening in this country? Let's go after the NSA because they work too hard to protect us from terrorists. Let's go after everybody who does something. The pharmaceutical industry has made our lives so bearable. I mean, in 1943, if you had heartburn, then by the age of 42, you just stopped eating foods you liked. You just couldn't. You couldn't eat things because it
But
was
where's
terrible.
the social-
now,
where's the personal
now you
responsibility
take a
there?
damn Prilosec,
Where's the personal
There is
responsibility there to
poli-
stop eating steak instead of to eat? I can eat slightly. I can still
It's
eat
not
shit
always
food
it's not
because I
always-
can take
no,
a heartburn
no.
medicine.
If you have bad heartburn, it's not always just because the food's terrible for you. There's just certain types of food that your body is not good with. It doesn't mean that
don't
you're-
eat the food.
You can be a gourmand and eat things that give you a heartburn. I mean, it's not like they're always out fast food. My point is, when you're criticizing doctors and pharmaceutical people and all this stuff, look around. People didn't used to live to 80 as a normal thing. I mean, show a little bit of,
I don't think it's
without
any
the
kind of
pharmaceutical
conspiracy.
industry's life would be horrible.
Nobody's suggesting that they don't do good things, but their practices could be improved.
What's their name? Who?
Pick one. Pfizer.
Okay, Pfizer.
Merck.
What exactly is it that they do that you find to be
Let's
reprehensible?
Name some more pharmaceutical companies. Just
Merck?
to throw it out there. Well, Greg already said that.
Glass. What is the one? Glass something. Anyway, we'll get into this another time.
For one thing, I think giving old men boners is just a terrible idea. That is reprehensible.
Bought this house, by the way. It bought this house. My friend worked for the pharmaceutical industry, and he said, we got a drug coming online. Actually, strangely enough, it was Viagra. It wasn't inside information. It was known that it was coming, but I didn't know because I don't follow it. And he said, I don't think it's going to work for the erection thing, but he thought it was going to have some other thing that would be good for the heart or something. And I invested very little money in that in 1996 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And the profits from that boner medicine bought me this house. I took those profits, bought the house, got out of the stock.
I take it recreationally, not for the obvious use, but it throws off your color perception. Blues and greens look exactly the same.
Yeah,
and that's quite the
new,
trip.
New hallucinogen.
Well, it's interesting that they don't go away from that because if you watch the Viagra commercials, they have a hue of green or blue over the whole thing. I guess it's to make you feel like it's normal. That would freak
You
me
remember
out.
the janitor, what's his name, Smitty at 96 Rock?
Yes.
He would sell the Viagra at black market, and I was 20. I was like, yeah, I'll buy one from you. And I didn't need it, but I was curious. And yeah, that was the one thing I noticed. I could not tell the difference between blue and green. It didn't really help with anything else because I don't think I needed the help.
At 20, I think it's just a strong wind should have done the job.
I just wanted
for
to
you.
try it. And I was like, yeah, it's a pill. I'll take it.
I just, I think that we just live in this country in this awesome time where we're allowed to be so healthy, we're allowed to have such a lifestyle, and then people just constantly banging on the people who make that possible. Pharmaceutical companies make life at 67 possible to not be full of nothing but aches and pains and crap, and at least
which is great.
Thank them.
But you
before
are a
you
responsible
tell them they're
adult.
killing us.
No one. I never said that. You're
I
the one
want
that keeps
all
saying
laws.
kill.
I want all laws in society based on responsible adults. I don't care about the rest.
You are responsible, and you understand that if you take too many happy pills, it's gonna fuck you up for however
understand
long.
that? Who doesn't understand?
A lot
that?
of people.
Oh.
I have family members that don't understand
They
the
know
difference
it.
because no,
They know
don't.
it.
They don't.
They
They
just like feeling
believe
good.
in the doctors, man. It's the same people that believe that American Idol is the best television show
Then
on
that's
TV.
on them.
There's
This is where my libertarianism comes
100
through.
million of them out there.
It's on them.
It is on
It's
them.
on them.
But is there no responsibility for someone to say, hey, you can't have a certain amount. You can't have levels and
then how far
sales
does that go?
goals.
How far does that go?
Sales goals for prescription drugs.
You have
That's
sales goals for
insanity.
everything. You have sales goals for everything. That's their product.
insane.
Michael, it's their product.
Exactly.
It's
So
what
they're
they
trying
make.
to push it, and that's why
So
people
you
are
think
addicted
they
to
should
it.
spend hundreds of millions of dollars making a product and then do as much as they can to make sure as little as possible gets out there. How the hell are you going to keep that chain supply going?
Exactly.
Like
You
cigarettes.
just described the
Taking
problem.
if you're
The-
taking
you
5
described
Vicodins
the
a day,
problem. That's
if
the
you're
problem.
If you're taking 5 Vicodin a day, you know it's not good. I don't care
Do
how
ya?
many doctors.
Do
of
you?
course, yes.
Because it changes the
Yes.
chemistry of your brain, man.
Oh, well, and probably they're doing it on purpose so they can keep us all happy and so we don't rise up against the government. Let me finish your
I know
thought
you
there,
just
Michael.
said. I know you just said that jokingly, but somewhere deep inside your brain, you feel like that there's a possibility that can happen.
And the CIA.
Yeah,
planning
God forbid
crap.
that there's people out there that might want to have total mind control.
Who?
I don't know. You ever heard of a guy named Hitler?
Now end it. End it now. Total mind control. The show's over. It's done.
I'm out of here.
God
Fuck this
damn
shit.
it. Screw you! Well, Michael Albanese, you're in show
Yes.
business, as I understand.
Not anymore.
I've seen your card. You are a hater of the pharmaceuticals and a lover of stand-up comedy and show business in
Yes.
general. Where can people see you do the funny stuff? Oh, you can't remember.
Nowhere tonight. I'm going to see a play tonight.
Well, it's a podcast, so over the weekend. maybe
Yeah, I'll
people-
be over on the weekend. I don't know if I have any gigs this weekend.
Michael Albanese playing all
tomorrow,
over.
it's Wednesday night. I'll be at the Improv in Atlanta, more than likely.
All right.
I think so. Yeah, I kind of go out of town a little bit. I'll be in.
okay.
You know what? I'll start plugging this now because it's a podcast. March 21st and 22nd, and hopefully you guys will be there with me.
Is this Lawrenceville?
Yeah, I'll be at the Aurora Theater for 2 shows each night, Friday, Saturday. You can go to, I think, auroratheater.com or just look up the Aurora Theater. I'll have more information soon. Tickets are cheap,
Yeah.
and there's not a lot of. It's a theater. There's maybe like 200 seats, and
Right.
they anticipate a sellout. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm
We gotta put together
co-headlining that.
We got to put together a live show at some point. Do the podcast live.
Absolutely.
Maybe
That'd be
that
a lot of
Village
fun.
Theater. That seems like a good room. Maybe.
Yeah, it's a great
A
spot.
small room, because I
Yeah,
think
black box.
if we do the podcast live, I don't want to be in this cavernous place where people aren't. If you're in the back row, you can't really. It's kind of a boring thing to watch people sit down and talk.
Yeah.
So I think a room like
Do
that.
like a little variety show, maybe.
add-
We'll get some strippers out there, have some fun.
Yeah, a little burlesque. Everybody
Yeah.
loves a little burlesque.
Yeah, but March 21st, 22nd, Aurora Theater, downtown Lawrenceville. You can come watch me relapse and drink a ton of alcohol.
There you go. It's in the cards.
It's in the works. Don't worry.
Greg Russ, can people play dominoes with you in Manhattan anytime soon, or what's?
Yeah, on Pogo.com, Larry J. Sabato is my handle. You
Okay.
can find me there. Challenge me to a game. Also, if you're looking for me today, I'll be on the Upper West Side. A quick Craigslist search for pain relief has brought up text or call now. Absolutely no games, only serious buyers.
Oh.
So right there in Craigslist, I can go get myself some painkillers.
I blame Pfizer. Those heartless bastards.
You should.
Dr. X isn't he supposed to just wave goodbye, Dr. X? Well, guess what? That's been the morning show with EVH. We'll see you tomorrow morning, and hopefully Autumn will be here. Bye.
Yeah, we need her.